All right, let's just go ahead and get right down to it. Today was day one of me going to wrestling school, and I want to let you know right now, because of the fact that I had to sign a contract that kind of may be enforced but not completely enforced, I have to make sure to watch my tongue with certain things that I say about the company. In other words, there's a good chance that I probably won't be able to actually bring up specifically how I train, but I can just basically tell you I went to wrestling school today. I may have taken a few bumps, and that was it. Now, everybody who knows a little bit about pro wrestling knows what goes down at a wrestling school. Number one, you learn how to do moves, you learn how to fall, and you interact with the other students. So basically, the gist of every video that I talk about when it comes to wrestling school is going to be in the context of learning moves, learning how to fall, and interacting with other people. I can't specifically go into great detail because, once again, contract binding, secret society, professional wrestling is kind of its own little weird shell or whatever. So you kind of want to be respectful to tradition. You got to respect the business, and that's kind of how this goes. I want to say I had a pretty reasonable first day. You know what I'm saying? I messed up a few times, but like I said, first day. But I mean, I'm rusty as heck. I haven't done anything in years, so you know, I mean, I'm in that to win that. I'm old though, as you can you tell? Scruffy. I do have to go to work kind of early tomorrow, so I am keeping it light. I have not watched the most recent episode of Reality of Wrestling yet, but I intend to watch Reality of Wrestling, Title Match Wrestling, and I'm going to try my best to get into the hang of AAA again and MLW as well. Because now that I'm going into wrestling school, watching wrestling just seems to just make more sense now because now I gotta study my future competition and you know, it is definitely a bit. It does kind of bum me out that, I wanted to do this stuff like 18 years ago, and now I'm finally getting back into the swing of things, and it's only because I didn't always have the money, or I didn't always have the money, I didn't always have the way to get to places, so it was just like I mean, like what can you do when you have no options, right? Try to make one. So that's essentially what I did. I used my hammer and I tried to take down a mountain, and I'm at the last swing. I feel so. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff. That's a reference, by the way. There's a legendary story about a man who literally took down a mountain with a hammer because his wife died of cancer and he couldn't bring her to the hospital because the mountain was blocking the way. I forget the actual reference there, but yeah, like it does feel like this is kind of like, my step forward, or this is my redemption arc, so to speak. And like I said, and obviously because it's a wrestling school, you're not going to really see any footage of me at the wrestling school. And I feel really bad about that because part of me would love to be able to record myself, like, in a ring, just, dipping around and doing what I need to do and things like that. But clearly that's not going to always be the case. But on the good foots, now that I actually have a plan, now that I actually have a way of doing the thing, I can actually start working towards my plan. Because plan one, get trained. Plan two, work local shows. Plan three, plan four, profit. Underpants gnomes. And while I'm doing that, I also will be trying my best to sort of work on other things as well. I really hate the fact that I can't edit because that would have been so awesome to fucking do. Um, There is, like I said, I haven't, but I've been watching a lot of wrestling more. I'm rewatching NXT because I stopped watching like right before Halloween Havoc. So since the last time we spoke, I have been catching up with episodes, and I'm like at the show after Halloween Havoc. So like I'm at the beginning of Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez, which, by the way, is so good. Like, can we just like really sit down and talk about how great women wrestlers are in comparison to men? Like, I don't like to compare things because comparing things is stupid, but like if I had to compare something, it's women's wrestling. Women's wrestling in general have evolved because WWE really pushed this idea that women's wrestling was supposed to be sexual. Is blonde, big boob women ripping each other's clothes off. It's been forever since we've seen a bra and panties match. And for the kids out there, don't look it up. It's really not that great. But Tori Wilson would always win. That's all you need to know. If Tori Wilson is in a bra, it's like if Tori Wilson isn't in a bra and panties match, she wins and still strips down to her bra and panties after the match anyway because Vince is weird. By the way, Vince loved his blondes thick. In any case, man, I really wish I could edit because that would have been cool. Like Vince loves his blondes thick. But yeah, in any case though, yeah, like but yeah, women's wrestling is so good, and like it's really start, and like the more I'm starting to watch wrestling, the more I'm starting to notice that you're starting to see, like especially in like reality of wrestling, because that's where it really started to make sense to me that women's wrestling was good. Like women's wrestling was good. I mean, obviously, I always knew that women's wrestling was good because I hated bra and panties matches because like I'm a little kid, and like this is during the golden age of the internet. So it's like you see so much on the internet that seeing bra and panties matches is just like what else. In any case, though, like, but you're starting to see like Shotzi Blackheart and you're starting to see Candice LeRae, who, by the way, if you never saw her in PWG, check her out. You're starting to see like AQA in Reality of Wrestling. She's gonna be a star. Hyan from Reality of Wrestling also gonna be a star. Roxy. I miss Jada. I don't know, like I heard that she's completely done with wrestling, and that's understandable. And I seriously hope that Kylie Ray ultimately kind of, you know, builds up from this and eventually comes back because she was so good, you know. Yeah, but in any case, yeah. This is went from me talking about me wrestling to me talking about how much I love women's wrestling. But that's only because that's how good it is. Like, man, if there was a WWE like show just dedicated to the women's wrestlers, I feel like that would be like the dominant show because it's that good. Women's wrestling is that good. You know, speaking of women's wrestling, why did Netflix get rid of Glow? I can rant about that forever, but I'm not. Let's go ahead and get right back to the facts, though. I'm training again. There's a good chance my clips are gonna be looking more like this, and in time you will more than, like I said, now that I'm training, you're gonna see me in a company one day. Let's just hope it's soon. But that's it, though, guys. Love and peace. Y'all have a good one, and be safe out there. It's kind of cool.